Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you all. Good morning and welcome you to the International Conference for Health, Safety and Wellbeing for Jockeys, and wonderful to see you all and it being so well attended. Of course, we're supported by the Hong Kong Jockey Club, hosted by the International Federation of Horse Racing Authorities and run by the Health and Safety and Wellbeing Committee for Jockeys of the ICHSWJ. This is a conference that dates back to 2006 in Japan. It has since then been to Turkey, the United States, it's been to Dubai and Paris, but we are back in Hong Kong where we were in 2015. It has proved quite the draw. We have up on 100 representatives already registered and obviously here in attendance, and about a dozen countries represented as well. You're going to see a little bit of me over the next couple of days. I'll hopefully guide you through the various different sessions that there are. So by way of introduction, my name is Richard Pugh. You may have seen from the QR notes, and we'll touch on those in a moment. I'm the head of racing at Horse Racing Ireland, head of racing and insights. And I feel, because you're going to see a little bit of me over the next couple of days, each of us have our own perspective on the industry. My background is, as I say, I'm head of racing at Horse Racing Ireland. Before that, I was with Tattersalls for 12 years, the bloodstock company. I did ride briefly as an amateur from the ages of 16 to 19. That bit isn't relevant today, but what I suppose is relevant to my perspective is that at the age of 19, my social challenge was not that I was ever wanting to ride anything other than as an amateur. My social challenge was that at 19, I couldn't be with the people I had befriended. But what it did mean is that I became a commentator at that time. So from the age of 19 to now, which is, I'll let you guess the difference, from that time, I've had access to the weigh room, which is probably something that I wouldn't have expected possible when I stopped riding. And to watch the journey of the people I knew having success and then not having it, and the various different injuries, suspensions, and worse that I've witnessed over that time, that I'm sure you all have, it has fed into my fascination around the jockey profile, if you like. So I was delighted to be asked to come here. My wife, as you probably mostly have worked out, is Jennifer Pugh, who's part of the organising committee, along with Sarah Jane Cullen, who many of you would have had contact with up to now, because this has been a conference that has been a while in the building. Sarah Jane has been involved in horse racing since 2008 and has been very much involved in this conference for many years. But this year, as I'm sure every conference did up to now, there's a relevant current spin, if you like, on how we run it now. So this is the challenge of 2025. This is what the jockeys need and the industry needs for now. And each organising committee would have done that over the years. But many of you will have seen or completed a survey asking, what do you think you need for your jurisdiction, your country, to get the most from this conference? Then within each session, the sessions that were requested, how can they best work? So what we hope we haven't landed on is there's a session for each table. We hope we've landed on there's something for each table in each session, but that can only happen if you all engage. So we're going to have a couple of speakers before we begin. Our first session is Inside the Mind of the Jockey, but before we begin, I'm going to call on the Executive Director of the Hong Kong Jockey Club and Executive Director of the ICHSWJ. Can you please welcome to address you before we begin, Andrew Harding.
Thank you, Richard. The conference has moved around over time. Istanbul, Saudi Arabia, Hong Kong's had it before. But there's one constant, which is that beautiful Irish lilting voice. Not necessarily always Richard's, but it is part of the IFHA requirement that there be at least one Irish person with prominence within this important subcommittee. And fortunately, we have Dara as the chair. It's my great pleasure to welcome you here to Hong Kong and to this conference. I think most of you were here last night, and I think you'll agree with me that it was a fantastic night. And what it did, as well as entertain, was to really, I think, encapsulate the significance of the work that you are going to be doing over the next 2 days, because last night was about the jockey. And we know that whilst every sport demands a great deal of its athletes at the highest levels of competition, there are very few that ask as much of its athletes as racing does of jockeys. And so from the perspective of the International Federation of Horse Racing Authorities, work on the health, safety and welfare of jockeys is one of the key streams of the strategic vision of the International Federation. And we look there at every aspect of the health, safety and welfare of jockey. And I specifically want to make the point that it's not just the physical well-being, but also the mental well-being. And it's for that reason that we have a standing committee of the International Federation, the Jockey Health and Wellbeing Committee, which is chaired by Dara, which has brought together today's conference. I'm also here in my capacity at the Hong Kong Jockey Club, and for us, the well-being of the jockey is of paramount importance. Now, in everything we do, we know that it should be a matter of continuous improvement, and that certainly has been the story of the Hong Kong Jockey Club in relation to jockeys. We've always, I think, invested to a degree, but particularly over the last 5 years, I feel that we've made significant headway. Perhaps if you have the opportunity, you could, over your time in Hong Kong, visit our Centre of Excellence at Sha Tin. And what we've developed there is a 7-day-a-week facility that really is the cradle, the place in which we're able to provide a lot of the services and support that we now provide to our jockeys. It involves a club physiotherapist. We also have a panel of psychologists that use that on occasions, and on other occasions do work online. We have chiropractor, masseuses, a conditioning and nutrition expert that's available to our jockeys. And above all of those things, it's a place for them to congregate. And we see that it's been particularly important when new jockeys join the ranks of our riders here, that they have a place that's away from the competition, where they can speak to health experts and they can speak to each other in a more relaxed setting. The other aspect of the evolution that I've witnessed at the Hong Kong Jockey Club over time is our approach to the emergency care. We are a very fortunate organisation. We're not short of funds, and we are dedicated to doing whatever we can in this important area. And if it requires funding, then we're in the fortunate position to be able to provide it. But I've got to say, if I go back 10 years, essentially our emergency care was just scoop and run. And that wasn't because we didn't want to do more, but we really didn't know how to do more. And it was an experience of a number of false starts to try and get it better. And really what it brought home to me is that in everything, in your organisations, and whether it's this area or it's some other aspect of your operations, it all ultimately comes down to people. And we were so fortunate that what we were able to do was form an association with Union Hospital, led by our Chief Medical Officer, Clara Wu, her team that are here with us today. And that partnership has been so important to what I think we've been able to develop in the period since then. And when I talk about the importance of the people within our own ranks, we have in our management team people that are so passionate about this, Stephen and Terry, the nurses team that we've been able to develop. But it's not just Hong Kong, and that's why I'm particularly grateful for the opportunity to be here in front of you, because it's also people in this room who come from other countries. Adrian McGoldrick has been key to what we've been able to achieve here. And that speaks to the importance of this conference too in bringing you all together, because that's networking and that's organisations working together. That's Dara being and his predecessors being so generous in being willing to share Adrian with us. And it's just not in terms of the trauma care, in terms of what we've been able to do with mental health. We have fantastic local experts, Karen and others, but we're also able to draw on Michael and others from around the world to provide support to our jockeys. So this really is a global undertaking, and I'm delighted that we're able to concentrate on that for the next 2 days. The next 2 days has been designed by Dara, Chairman of the Jockey Health and Wellbeing Committee, and his colleagues on that committee and my colleagues within the Executive Office. I think it's a fantastic program and I congratulate them, and I think you will derive much from it. I hope that while you're here, you can also enjoy yourselves. This is a beautiful city. If you haven't been before, I think you're in for a wonderful time. Sunday is going to be absolutely spectacular. I hope you're staying as long as that. And if you have some time in between, on Saturday, if you've got a free day, there is so much for you to do and enjoy in this truly beautiful city. So I want to wish you all the best for your endeavours over the next couple of days, and thank you for joining us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew, and to all the team. We are now joined, before we get our first session underway, someone who joined the racing industry from the pharmaceutical background and gives a unique insight, I suppose, into horse racing since 2022, where he became the CEO of the Irish Horse Racing Regulatory Board, addressing you this morning as the chair of the IFHA Jockey Health and Wellbeing Committee. It is Dara O'Loughlin.
The second lilting Irish voice you'll hear today, but not the last. Good morning, everybody, and apologise for the lack of lilting in my voice this morning. It's a great pleasure to be here to welcome everybody to the 2025 International Conference for the Health, Safety and Welfare of Jockeys. A lot of work has gone into putting this together, and it already feels to me like it's going to be a very successful event. We're here in Hong Kong, which is recognised as a world-leading racing jurisdiction, which is a fitting platform or stage for us to have this conference. It's an honour for me to be here as a newcomer and a one-time outsider in horse racing, and to be chair of the IFHA Jockey Health and Wellbeing Committee, and to have had the privilege with the committee of organising this event with the generous support of our colleagues in the Jockey Club. Andrew gave me a lot of kudos and praise for the work that I did putting the programme together, and I'm glad to accept it. But because I have some integrity, I have to then pass it all on to the committee that actually did all the work. On behalf of the IFHA committee that put the conference together, I do want to thank the Chief Executive of the Hong Kong Jockey Club, Winifred Engelbeck-Bresges, as well as Andrew Harding, who you've heard from already. Winifred will join us tomorrow and will address us at that stage. But it's not just the hosting, it's the sustained leadership that Hong Kong has shown, as Andrew outlined, in the area of jockey health, jockey safety, jockey well-being, that they continue to advance in those areas and have hosted us today so that we can all learn from each other and from them in terms of jockey safety and professional excellence. Our theme this year is Performance Medicine in Racing, Developing and Protecting the Jockey. Reflects how far the conversation has come, because we're not focused only on injury any longer, or as Andrew said, scoop and move. We're now looking at more broadly at what it means to be a jockey in today's racing environment, and what it means to support a jockey before, during and after their time in the saddle. This whole conference is built around real-world practice, real-world experience, scientific evidence and shared insight. We've got people from every profession that serves and protects jockeys. We've got doctors, physiotherapists, psychologists, lawyers, God help us. We've got researchers, regulators, nutritionists, current and former jockeys, and other racing professionals from a dozen different countries. And we're not here just to talk about jockey health. We're here to talk about building the systems and the processes that protect jockey health and well-being and sustain it. So over the next 2 days, we'll hear from experts and engage at sessions on concussion, injury surveillance and litigation risks, weight management, nutrition, rehab, return to ride protocols, the psychology of performance, innovations in simulation and in training, and then the transition to retirement and the post-riding career. And we'll hear practical insights from Ireland, the UK, Australia, South Africa, the US, France, and of course, Hong Kong. There's also an excellent poster presentation, and I would urge all of you to engage with the posters. It's open to all delegates. It's showcasing some interesting research, some country updates, and some applied projects. If you engage with the displays, ask questions, and connect with the people behind the work, there's a lot of learning there as well. Timing-wise, it's a perfect time to be having this conference because we're sandwiched beautifully between the Longines Jockey Championship and the international races. Two exceptional events that really spotlight the elite nature of modern jockeyship at the top and the immense physical and psychological demands placed on today's riders. But the issues that we're here to explore aren't only confined to the international stage. They're not just relevant at the very, very top. The same risks, the same challenges apply in every local circuit, in all of our jurisdictions, at every regional track, at every amateur meeting, wherever jockeys are performing under pressure, limited recovery, tight margins, tight timescales, high stakes, the need for support, for evidence, and for best practice is just as great. And that's why this conference matters. Because by sharing information and evidence and experience and innovation and insights, we're not just helping each other, we're helping the sport to raise standards, to reduce risk, and to deliver better outcomes for jockeys everywhere. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the work of my fellow committee members, most of whom I'm delighted to say are here in the room. A particular thank you to Sarah Jane Cullen and to Jennifer Pugh, whose tireless efforts and quiet professionalism have been central to shaping and delivering such a rich and well-run programme. And to Stephen Higgins, a committee colleague who coordinated all the hosting arrangements for us with great care, attention to detail, precision, and always good humour. I want to thank all of the presenters and speakers who've travelled from all over the world to share your expertise. You're the reason that this conference has the depth and the credibility that it has. And also I want to thank all the delegates who have gone to the trouble of travelling, whether you're here to speak or to listen, to share, to learn. The very fact that you're here sends a clear message that jockey health and well-being is and will remain a clear priority, and that collaboration across jurisdictions is essential to meeting the challenges that we face today and in the future. So use this opportunity, follow the programme, but also forge new relationships, explore new ideas, get to know the people that you haven't met before, as well as engaging with the people you already know, and add your voice to the conversation. The themed table discussions tomorrow will be an ideal forum for giving space to that kind of exchange, but so will all the informal conversations over tea and coffee during the breaks, at the posters, and obviously at the racetrack on Sunday. Because let's be honest, our friends in the Hong Kong Jockey Club, as those of you who were here last night will have seen, certainly know how to put on a good event. So with that, let me say once again, welcome to Hong Kong, welcome to the ICHSWJ 2025. Thank you for your commitment to the health and well-being of jockeys, and I look forward to learning alongside you and progressing the agenda over the next 2 days. Thanks.